And those are the characters of the formidable Jack Jones. They have the benefit for us in management that it's a very structured cartoon. The same happens all the time. There are only two characters, there's no language, so no translation problems. And it has been shown across the world because it's a Warner cartoon. So just about everybody knows it. So I asked them a very simple question: who do you root for? And who did I ask this question to MBA students? Because MBA students tend to be rather homogeneous in the way that they're trained. And so I had a homogeneous population to start with, and a simple question: who do you root for, the Coyote or the Road Runner? And bingo, Anglophones root for the Coyote, and Latin Americans mostly for the Road Runner. And they see different things on the characters. Those that root for the Coyote see courage in the Coyote, and those that root for the Road Runner, they see temperance, hope, humanity. So obviously we have different personalities that stands there. And if you ask a Roadrunner lover, what do you think a Coyote is good? And he says, well, it's mostly good for a controller in a company because he's a disciplinarian. And if you ask a Coyote router, what do you think a Roadrunner is good for? He'll say, well, he's good for human relations, acknowledging a greater capability for interpersonal relationships there. But the most interesting thing is that, yes, there is a cultural difference. People are different, and they not only have different views, but Roadrunners do not like being led by Coyotes. Now, here is the crux of the problem. Because if most multinationals are in Anglophone countries, are headquartered in Anglophone countries, and these corporations being led by Anglophones tend to select to lead their subsidiaries, people like them, they'll end up selecting Coyotes to lead the subsidiaries. The Coyotes can be American, or they can be Latin American. There are Coyotes in Latin America as well. But the fact is that they choose people like them to lead subsidiaries. Now, once you do this, you're in trouble. Because if in the country that you expect your subsidiary to work well is populated mostly by people that root for the Roadrunners, and they tell you, we do not like being led by Coyotes, then immediately you have instilled a cleavage in the effectiveness of your system. So see, much of my work is related to eliciting the nature of the difference, of the cultural difference in our countries, in our peoples, and in suggesting ways in which they should be managed. If you want just a preview of my recommendations, I say yes, that you have to appoint leaders that are the ones that would be appointed by the people themselves. Then you will have an effective leader. If you want to discuss recruitment, I would recommend that you ask your people who would they like to work with, because trust does not happen as quickly in Latin America as it does in America. So in order to have an effective team, people have to know each other much better than Americans need to in order to work together. So asking a worker, do you know somebody in your family or in your neighborhood that could fill this position, might be the best way to go, to make sure that you have in your company people working for you that feel as a team, because they are a team in their neighborhood or in their families. Regarding the ways in which you would assess performance, well, the standard techniques like 360 degrees do not seem to work very well in Latin America, because people don't tell the truth because they're afraid. And they're afraid because they don't like their leader or the people they are led by. So you would have to find other ways of assessing performance. And I would go simply for the most rudimentary of them, is results. Is that team performing or not? Now, if it is not, I would speak to the leader of that team and figure out why and try to solve the problems there. But this way of asking people, subordinates and collaborators and authorities, of how this single individual is working might not be the way, because this is not an individual, he is part of a team. And he will be protected by his people or done under by his enemies and rivals in the company. When it comes to coverage, health coverage, I've already told you this. I think that the coverage should be extended according to needs and not by some kind of pre-formatted system that is found to be applicable by the finance department. I think that what ends up resulting there is a to and fro in which the worker needs more coverage than he's getting, so the human resources director pressures on the company to give a special treatment on a special case, and all these favors tend up to build up and create a feeling of people that are in and out of the favors the human resources director, and it's not the way to go. We need something that is clear, transparent, and is effective and provides the coverage that the people need. Perhaps I'm extending myself too much. Many of the things that are in this talk are also in my book, Culture and Management in the Americas by Stanford, and the recollection on the Roadrunner, the Coyote, has appeared in Harvard Business Review and the blog recently. I think it was on August 27th of 2009. It's been a pleasure to be with you here at Vanderbilt University, and I hope to come back. Thank you very much. Alfredo Behrens.